Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Bentley, and today, unfortunately, is the last Tooling Tuesday session of Devtoberfest 2024. The good news is I get to be with Miguel again. Miguel has come in, and he's got Florent, who's going to present with him, and they'll introduce themselves in a second. But first, I wanted to really stress that we need you to earn your way to Nerdvana. That's right, up here in the game board. I'll throw it in the chat to get into the game board in Devtoberfest and earn as many points as possible. We want to see how many people we can get to Nerdvana, and then we will select our 10 grand prize winners who can take part in an SAP Tech Ed event next year. So, really proud of everything that's gone on this year. We've had a lot of sessions 2 weeks before Tech Ed, had the great Tech Ed in the middle, and now we're already at the week 4. So, we're done in 3 more days. So, super sad that this is the end of Tooling Tuesday, but Daniel and team have put together so many great sessions. We're really happy with how it's gone, and we're happy with all the people that have joined and asked questions. Speaking of which, we're going to have questions at the end of this session. We should have Miguel going for about 45-ish minutes with his presentation. And when that's done, we promise to answer all the questions that you throw in the chat. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to Miguel and Florent. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you very much. Yes. So hi, everyone. Welcome to our session about extend Joule with your own skills. I will be presenting today, and I'm having Florent as a co-host, as my colleague Fred was not able to join. I'm Miguel. I'm a product manager, SAP Build. So very excited to be presenting with you. Florent, you want to present yourself?
Yeah, so thanks, Miguel. So I'm Florent. So I'm working the development part of the Joule extension skills. So yeah, I will assist Miguel to the next.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so let's get to it. So I want to recap a little bit to set up the context of this session and what we'll be presenting about SAP's strategy. So we know that SAP's strategy regarding business AI is based on three main pillars, which are to have solutions that are relevant, reliable, and responsible. So in line with this strategy, Joule, which is our true copilot that will truly understand your business and support you through this conversational interface and experience across the SAP cloud portfolio, we are bringing it and putting it in the center, trying to integrate across all the different solutions. And then we're bringing these embedded AI capabilities across the different line of business and all the different solutions that we have in order to be able to provide you with this advanced functionality so you can have this seamlessly and consume them, and also utilize Joule as an interface as well. And besides that, SAP Business AI solutions reside in the SAP Business Technology Platform, which is supported by the rich AI ecosystem that we are building together with the partnerships and the investments that we are doing in order to try to bring the right models and the right AI solutions for you to be able to solve your problems. So let's go to the next. So as I was mentioning, we mentioned that Joule is the one AI copilot for the SAP ecosystem. Joule is transforming the way that you interact with your SAP business system. And it's just not about simplifying your tasks, but it's also about making every interaction matter. Whether you're trying to work with your daily activities, you're trying to work with some processes, or maybe you're developing some new solution, Joule is there to really empower you at every step and every interaction that you have with SAP systems. And we can take Joule in the example of SAP Build, where we can use it in order to help developers to create powerful extensions. We can also generate data models to streamline or also create like workflows and automations in order to help you to do the extensibility for your S/4HANA system. So it's about giving you the support that you need in order to innovate and work faster with the systems. So what we are doing as a strategy in SAP is try to bring this 80% of the core tasks that you do in SAP to the interface of Joule. That means like we will be able to provide you with these capabilities, and we have been focusing on ensuring that Joule will be able to understand your business, and it's just not a tool. The idea is to have it as your trusted assistant, being able to learn and adapt to work with you in these different situations, and also helping you to make better and faster decisions in your everyday. So for instance, by the end of the year, you will have access by having Joule in SAP applications such as Fieldglass, Concur, Ariba, or even the BTP copy. But there's even more. So there's more exciting things and more exciting news about. What if we could do even more than this, than the standard contents? And this is where Joule Studio brings into life. So we want to have Joule Studio. And after many discussions from our customers, we're trying to understand that the complexity of the landscape of those concepts is not just about one system, but usually it's about having like different solutions integrated. So we need to bring data from different systems and be able to utilize it. And then by talking to our customers, we understood that they like that they will have all of these capabilities out of the box with Joule Studio, but they also want to be able to extend and customize it for their applications. So they want to be able to connect it for ServiceNow or some other instances that they are handling like ticketing. Maybe they want to connect it with their Jira applications. They want to do a lot of custom applications and extend Joule in order to be able to also empower their business users when they're having these interactions. And what we are trying to do is to have these diverse systems and bring it together to make the life easier for you and really help you to be able to do this in a way. So you will be extended these out-of-the-box capabilities, and you will have this freedom to be able to customize it and extend it for your daily activities, and also to be able to face these challenges. And this will be just the beginning. This is the first step of unlocking. We will be going into future developments and try to bring you more advanced capabilities, but it will be within the solution of build and there is drag and drop simplicity that you're familiar to. So we will be able to connect third-party systems and also be able to create this conversational experience across the entire business. So with having Joule Studio, this new solution, SAP will be able to help you to create these capabilities. With this offering, you will be able to use SAP Build and all the functionality that you're familiar in order to be able to enhance it and have this power in order to have this extensibility to you. So SAP Build is the extensibility suite, as you already know it, and I'm familiar with S4HANA and this strategy of keep the core clean. And this will help you to simplify and bring the process the two different systems together. So this means that you're able to take this full advantage of this diverse landscape that you will set and be easily adapting and integrated this to you. So you can deliver this pre-built content and also the existing workflows and automations that we have in order to be able to integrate everything into you. And the SAP Lobby is the one that will give you also this transparent governance for all your projects. You will be able to monitor the Joule Studio projects that you have, and it will help you to have this visibility of all the projects that you have in SAP Build. So as we can see here, Joule Studio will be a solution that will be separate within the SAP Build portfolio, and it is represented by these four options that you will find in the bucket in the SAP Lobby today. This screenshot allows you to have a preview of this idea that we're trying to bring, which will position Joule Studio at first with the capability to create these skills in a low-code, no-code platform. And then in the future, we will also enhancing it in order to bring more capabilities, such as pro-code solutions to extend Joule Studio, and many more, such as AI agents. So our goal is to make sure that the experience is as simple as intuitive as possible, and you have all the development tools that you need for your AI projects in this new place that is called Joule Studio. Okay. And with SAP Build Actions, you will be able to seamlessly integrate any application that you want into Joule Studio. Whether it's an SAP solution or a third-party system, you're able to simplify this process by bringing all of the configurations, and it will be as easily as uploading the data and the specifications, and then you will not need to dive into the technical details on the line, the APIs. You're able to configure, deliver it, and start doing the integration of the logic in order to create these custom Joule skills. So when you create these Joule skills in your studio, you will be able to select within these predefined actions and convert them to your projects in order to define the necessary parameters and then integrate them into the logic. And we will be seeing this into the demo that we have prepared for you today. Also, you can leverage all of the pre-built content that we provide in the SAP Build portfolio. This is available in the store, and this content is continually maintained and updated by SAP and also by SAP partners. And you will be able to find this and find different solutions for different line of industries and different SAP applications. And you can take advantage of this pre-built content and leverage directly into your Joule skills that you will be building. And many of those customers have already built a variety of workflows and automations in SAP Build. And if you're one of them, you will be also able to seamlessly integrate these solutions that you have been doing into these Joule skills. This means that the workflows that you're using nowadays, such as utilizing decision tables or approval forms or some kind of complex processes that you have modeled, you will be able to integrate it and transform it into Joule skills in order to leverage this work that you have been doing in the past, instead of trying to create these Joule custom skills from scratch. So when you create the Joule skills, you will be able to pick up the different artifacts that you have available within your tenant and be able to consume them and do the implementation. And all these newly created Joule skills will be accessible, like I mentioned, through the SAP below it. So this will allow you to have this easily monitored of all your products in one place. So you will be able to also support this fusion development by making it easy for the diverse teams that you have that might have very technical deep skills, but also a little bit more about the business profile and the understanding of the challenges that you're trying to solve, and help them work together with these low-code and pro-code tools in order to be able to create these custom Joule skills that will be able to enhance and support the end business user. So you will be able to have the centralized location for managing all of this and monitoring all of the work that you are applying. So the demo that I will be presenting today will be about a collaboration that we have been doing with our partners, LeverX. And the idea is to be able to create Joule skills for an automated TM quotation responses. I will go into the scenario first to give you a glance of what LeverX is trying to do. And we have gone into this early collaboration with them to understand their use cases, their needs, and be able to inform better plan this vision that we're trying to make a reality in the upcoming months. So let's look at this scenario that LeverX brought to us, and we started going into this ideation phase and trying to implement the first proof of concept in order to see how Joule could be leveraged and integrate these new custom skills in order to enhance this process. So in this process, LeverX is utilizing other SAP technologies in order to look into automation of Outlook, and then look for application and search for certain email criteria to understand certain requests that are coming. After they do some recognition, calling some GPT via the SAP AI core, they're able to retrieve the entities of the emails and also the email body. And they are able to determine which quote parameters are based on these entities. So they have an understanding of these kind of documents and information. And then what they are able to do is create a transportation quotation. And that's where they also wanted to say, okay, the end user that is working with this whole process, maybe they want to obtain a specific discounts for a certain type of customer. And then it could have Joule to bring these advanced capabilities and try to have this extensibility in order to be able to ask Joule for assistance in this scenario and try to get some assistance that will increase the productivity that they have. So the idea is to be able to ask for Joule for information regarding the discounts that are approved in the company for a certain customer, and be able to get this information pretty quickly, and then be able to integrate this into their quote and be able to send the proposal and accelerate the business. So this is the scenario where we are trying to bring as a first proof of concept and initial collaboration, and we will be working with them in order to enhance and bring more capabilities that we can consume via Joule Studio with these custom Joule skills. So now let's go into the demo where I'm gonna drive you to the technical implementation and the details. Let me start the demo. Okay. So as a first point, what we see here is we have this Joule trigger. That is the starting point of the configuration, and it allows us to specify the kind of interaction that we will have with the end user when they are having a conversation with Joule. So we can provide them a kind of text that will be triggered once Joule identifies this information. And we will also be able to let them know when the skill is starting to run, what kind of information we want to display. What we can also configure here are the inputs and outputs that we will have as part of the Joule conversation. This will allow us to have Joule intelligently recognize the kind of information. Here, I will pause for a second to clarify that what you see here on the general information is first the name of the scenario that we're creating, this custom skill, which is customer discount information, but also the description of the scenario. it is important to highlight that this information is what Joule utilizes to find the right capability across the out-of-the-box standard capabilities, but also the custom capabilities that we're building and that we're integrating in the library of Joule so it can identify. So when the user is having the conversation, Joule is able to look across the capabilities and say, oh, wait, this is the right capability for this scenario. Let me retrieve it, and I'm going to help the users with this. And as I was mentioning during the conversation, by the configuration that we have of inputs and outputs, you will be able to understand which parameters are required and how to request additional information from the user in order to be able to execute this custom skill. So what we're going to configure here is like a customer name as a capability for this scenario. And then what we are going to leverage also is a little bit of information regarding the particular customer. So we're going to retrieve information from a third-party system that is giving us information regarding the customer. There's email, contact information, but also probably the kind of a status that we have. And of course, we're going to return the approved kind of discount that we have for this customer. So here we're going to configure like the email, the start of the relationship, how long the customer has been with us in our relationship, so we can understand how loyal the customer is, and we might be able to provide additional discount, and also trying to provide the name of the customer, and finally the discount that we want to provide them as a default. There might be some special scenarios where maybe we can request a special approval, but here will be the implementation for this standard discount that we want to give to this customer. So once we configure all the different inputs, this, when it gets exposed to Joule, you will be able to identify, and if something is missing for these inputs, it will go into a conversation with the user and let them know like, oh, maybe there's something that you will need to be provided additionally in order to be able to do that. In this case, we only have one input, but we can also create more complex scenarios with multiple inputs, and then you will help us to have this conversation with the user in order to retrieve all of them. So additional, we're going to configure additional values that we need to implement as part of the logic. So here we will see some value that will be handed over to the API due to some formatting that requires the API. This is special for this particular API that we will be leveraging for this scenario, that there might be some certain formatting that we need to do for this value. So we will be handling certain parameters that we will provide to the API that consists of the value, the discount, and also we'll have a custom variable within our skill that will let us know whether this customer has had any unpaid invoices in the past, and that will help us implement into the logic to try to define whether we want to provide any discount or if we shouldn't provide any discount because we have seen that there have been some delays and we don't want to have more problems with this particular customer. So once we have defined these custom variables and also the inputs and outputs of the skill, now we can go ahead and start working into the definition of the logic of the skill. As an initial step, we will include some script testing that will allow us to set up some of the context that we require as part of this scenario. So we're going to set up some intermediate information that we will be leveraging. And here we can utilize this formula and these scripting capabilities that will allow us to set the context of the skill that we're working. So we're going to set up these custom values. And then we were going to be able to leverage these custom values inside of the different connectivity to the APIs and also for the output. Now, let's look for the action that we have already in our library for this particular scenario, which allows us to retrieve the customer information in order to get whether they have had any delays in the past and how long they have been in a relationship as a customer with us. So here we're going to select the destination that we have configured. So we're going to create a new destination for this case that will allow us to connect for BTP cockpit. And this will help us to have this modularization in order to be able to change the destination if the API changes. So that way we can only change to these parameters and it will allow us to update any connections that are there in the future. So what we will provide as inputs to this API is this value of the intermediate variables that we are configuring that will allow us to provide the information of the name of the customer. And as outputs, we are interested in together the years that we'll be leveraging. So here we can select that as an output, and then we will do also some configuration on the script in order to process these particular responses from this API. Of course, an alternative way will be to modify the API in order to simplify it. But in this case, we were using some standard API that is part of this company. So that's why we're doing these configuration steps. Here, we're going to take these customer results, and what we're interested in to try to get like the values that are part of this response. And we're going to process it in order to extract the information that is required. So here we're going to get this payment history as a variable that we use in our logic later in the process to try to define this decision. And then we will put that into a condition later on in order to be able to do that. And also we'll put it as part of a decision table in the logic. And here we're going to set up some the variables that we put into the configuration with initial values that we will be able to override and change once we are able to verify these responses from the API. So what we're going to go is, in this case, something that we decided to do as an initial exploration is to do an iteration through the payment history, just to verify if there's any kind of the delay that has been there. And for this API, we didn't have it at hand, something that will return us a simple answer, whether there was delay or not. That could be also like a further enhancement of the API. But in this case, we're going to solve it pretty easily by doing an iteration of the payments and try to review them and identify if any of them has been a delay. Then we're able to change this variable, identify, and say, oh, we have identified a delay on the payment. That should be a consideration for the logic and the discount that we want to provide. So here on the script, we're going to check also the status of the payment. And in case that it is not, we're going to do this modification. Good. Here is the condition. And if the value is different than paid, that's where we're going to change this has unpaid invoices variable to set it as true and be able to identify it. Okay. So also, like once we have identified, it's not worth it to continue through the iteration of the payments, and then we will stop this iteration in order to save some time in the consumption of this verification. And here, what we're going to do is be able to leverage this information of the system. Now that we have completed this script that helped us to implement the logic, let's move forward to the next steps of the implementation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up this business logic for this particular scenario. And we're going to further add more logic into the skill. We're going to leverage here condition. So the condition will let us know with this variable that we set up, if there has been delays, we will go to a default, and then the default will be not to provide a discount. So we're going to set up here a condition that will allow us to find this. And in the case that we see that there's no problems and that the customer has been making the payments on time, then we want to go and do another implementation of the business logic into trying to codify, depending on the loyalty, the kind of discount that we do. But we'll show that in a second. Here, what we'll do is review this custom variable that we have created. And in the case that it is true, then we will be able to utilize it as part of our logic. Okay. And now let's look into the true. If there has not been any delays, then we will be able to implement this business rule. So here we're going to implement a decision table. We're going to create a new one. And here we're going to codify this logic that we want to implement regarding the number of years that the customer has been collaborating with us. And according to that, there will be a corresponding discount. And this is only as a proof of concept to exemplify how you can leverage decision tables within a skill in order to implement this business logic. Of course, you could have more complex rules that can cover more scenarios, or you can connect additional APIs depending on the kind of setup that you have in your system. So here what we will have as an input is the years as a customer, information that we retrieve from the API, and the output parameters will be the approved discount that will be provided for this customer that does not need to go for any special approval. Once we have the inputs and outputs configured, now we can go and define this decision table and kind of codify the logic that we want for this particular scenario. So here, let's go and add some of the rules. So for this, we provide some descriptions and naming for this decision table for other colleagues to be able to understand the logic that we are implementing here in case that the project requires further enhancements or improvements that we want to implement, or even like changing or updating the business logic for this particular scenario. And we're gonna utilize this hit policies configuration and the rule categories in order to configure this. Once we have that, we can also define what are the conditions, attributes that we want to leverage as part of this logic. In this case, we're gonna, as mentioned, use the years as customer. And we'll also configure like the results. So here we're gonna review the particular value, and the result will be on the next configuration step, the discount that we will be providing. And once we have defined the parameters of the decision table, we are then able to go and do the codifying of these different conditions by creating the rules on the table. So here everything looks good. We have the different rule name, the description, the values. So we can proceed to the creation. And now we see this decision table that allows us to provide these values. We can go and edit, and here we can start putting the different conditions. So we would say if it's less than a year, we're gonna provide a certain value of discount for this kind of customers that have been there with us pretty recently. So here we're gonna provide some 6% discount. And then if we have customers that have been there for a longer time, let's say between 1 year and and 3 or 5 years, here we can codify a new value set out. Here we will use 3. And here we will provide a little bit of a bigger discount for these customers that have been loyal and have been collaborating with us for a longer time. And finally, we're gonna say if we have any customers that have been there for between 3 years and 5 years, we're gonna provide like a 10% discount. And to cover the final scenario, we will say anyone that has been there for more than 5 years, then they will get the default of 15% discount. That will be the maximum discount that we're willing to provide out of the box without any special kind of approval process within our company. And now that we have configured all these rules, now we're able to integrate this as part of the functionality of the skill that we were configuring and be able to integrate that with the data that is coming from the API, and now start working on the definition of how we want to return this information to Joule as part of the definitions of this custom skill. So here we can go into the skill content and also look at the different variables that we have available within our scenario. And here, as we can see, we can define the output of the decision table as the discount. And we can leverage the data mapping that you're familiar in SAP Build in order to be able to utilize this. Also, probably like we want to do some additional script testing because of the way that we implemented this logic. So we will do some certification of the discount in order to provide it as a string. This is required. So here we're gonna be able to bring this output from the previous decision table and then do this customization for the kind of response that we want to configure for this scenario. Okay, so let's go for the identification of this value. And once we complete this on the script task, then we're gonna continue with the configuration of the outputs of the skill. So we're slowly coming to the and of the implementation of this proof of concept that we went and explored. And after this, what we're going to show you is how this looks from the end user perspective when they're having the conversation with Joule in order to consume this kind of custom capabilities that we're creating. So as we mentioned here, what we're going to return is some additional information that is available in the API. We're going to return the custom name. We also want to provide the discount. This is part of the discount table that we have created. So here we can go in and identify the right. So we extract this from the custom variables that we put. And also we can get the email from the API, and also for the business user to provide the number of years that this customer has been in the relationship, so they also have that information, right? Just in case they don't have access to the rules or they cannot see that, at least they are getting this additional information that can help them with their daily activities and also in their decision making. It might be that they decide that for this particular customer, considering the number of years that they have been in a relationship with us, that they want to ask for this additional approval, exceptional approval, or a bigger discount, and then having all of this information together can really provide this context. So after you have finished the creation, you can proceed to release the project and also the deployment. And then once this is deployed, it is possible to go into Joule and start having this conversation. So here, what we go is, let's pause for a second so you can see the conversation. We ask Joule, can you give me the applicable discount information for customer outlaw and also provide me with the additional properties that we have? We could also just ask for the discount, and then it will only return the discount. But in this case, we are interested into seeing these additional properties. So Joule can understand this contextual information from the query and try to relay that to the output that is related from the custom skill. So what we see here is the processing, and once Joule completes this, it comes back with the information that we codified and that you saw in the custom skill, with the information regarding the name, email, the phone number, and also the discount. In this case, we have a customer that has not been there very long, so we only have certain a very low discount that is available. But then we can continue and say, okay, what if I want to get information regarding another customer and try to identify maybe another customer that has been there for a long time? So we asked Joule, what about the discount information for this additional customer, which is NTAG? And here, Joule again understands that is the context of the same custom skill within the library and is able to match it and obtain the information, and then it returns the approved discount that we have for this particular customer. Okay. So with that, we close the video. We will be answering the questions at the end, but I want to give you like a summary. What you saw is how we're bringing all of these capabilities of SAP Build in order to be able to help you connect this SAP and non-SAP data and be able to operate within these systems and be able to build these complex scenarios by leveraging a lot of the capabilities that you're familiar in SAP Build. So you can use task automations, you can use business rules, and like in this case, you can also bring document understanding, this API connectivity that we help you to have this seamless experience with actions. So all of these are capabilities that we'll be able to leverage, and there will be more capabilities that will be coming in the future as part of the solution. This is only the initial point of Joule Studio, and we will be looking into how to bring more capabilities. So this is how it's looking in terms of the roadmap. We're going to be running a beta with some of our customers to go into this testing phase and try to get the feedback from them, see how they implemented the comments that they have, and try to have all this learning into bringing the product on Q1, tentatively on next year. That's what we want to have the generability. So we'll be adapting our roadmap accordingly to the beta results and the collaboration that we do and all the learning that we'll be doing with our customers and partners such as LibraryX, that we're gaining a lot of great feedback from them. And after that, on the next quarters of 2025 and also in the future, there will be more extended functionalities that will be coming and will be part of this. Such as the Pro Code version of Joule extensibility, would you be able even to go into more detailed configuration of the capabilities and be able to expose this to have more complex scenarios, and also some other things that we have been sharing in other sessions, which is AI agents that will also come a solution as part of SAP Build in Joule Studio. So with that, I think we have closed the general content so far. I will pause it to start going into the questions, and then from there we can take it and start looking into the details.
Awesome. So beautiful presentation. It's nice to see this stuff come to life after being talked about for only a few months, right? So to see it come to life and see so much of a depth of application. A couple of great questions came in from VN Ready, so I'm going to read that off to you right now. His first question was, as I understand, or their first question, as I understand, in this process, you are using custom script to evaluate certain conditions and using the decisions to arrive the discount, but how this demo falls under Joule extension.
Yes. So the demo falls into Joule extension because at the end of the day is this kind of connectivity to third-party system doesn't come out of the box because SAP doesn't have the visibility of these external applications, right? And as a customer, you have this landscape that has these custom APIs to other systems. I might need to bring that, and I want to bring that to Joule in order to Joule help it learn and be able to assist me with those scenarios. So the idea is by creating this custom skill and exposing it to Joule when we do the release and the deployment, this would automatically be included into the library of Joule standard content and custom content. So by that, we're already extending Joule for these custom scenarios in order to be able to bring this third-party system data.
So before I read VN Ready's second question, Daniel had a follow-up, which is where do you deploy these skills to? Like, is there a standard place that you deploy all of these skills in your company?
Yes. So that's something that we're working into, and Florent probably can also elaborate a little bit more, is we will be having different Joule instances, and then we need to select this kind of instances. We will be doing also control through our environments in order to restrict the users that can have access to certain capabilities. That's part of the governability that we want to bring out of the box, that you're also familiar with in SAP Build. So by doing that, you will be selecting your environment, and you will be selecting the instance of Joule that you want to use. Maybe you have one instance for Joule in development, maybe you have one instance for Joule in production, and then you want to have different capabilities depending whether you're testing them or you already know that they are working well, they have been matured, you have refined them, then you want to bring them. I don't know if you want to add something for that, Ronnie.
Yes, I confirm it's exactly this that you explained.
Okay, another question that came in from VN was, can you please explain how you were calling the process of BPA with Joule in Start?
Okay, so what is important to position is like, this is something that it is powered by the SAP process automation experience, but this is becoming its own solution. So what you saw at the beginning, and maybe I could try to go back to sharing that. Give me 1 second. Let's go that part of the slides.
Okay, I see it moving.
Yes, so you see the video there, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what you see here, let me put it exactly where I want it. This is the way that we are doing this binding, right? So in Joule Studio, this is how, with the technology for SAP process automation, we'll be powering this new Joule Studio at the first stage, these low-code custom skills. And what we will have is a new definition that will allow the identification. We're calling it here like kind of like a Joule trigger. And it allows you to give the configuration of first, what is the conversation looking like for the end user, so you can define this kind of information that you provide in the user when they are triggering this kind of capability, and also the inputs and outputs. And this information gets encapsulated, and then we take care of this complexity of the deployment of the capability to Joule. And when you click release and deploy, this will be translated into Joule, and then you will have this information, this metadata, and these requirements to understand what are the inputs that I need in order to execute this custom skill. So this is the new technology that we're bringing that will be able to help with this.
Okay, and just to recap a couple of comments that VN made in chat, there's a dialogue between Daniel and VN, and a couple of comments from Daniel about, can you explain a little more on what you provide in the project to show Joule and when to respond with this skill?
Okay, Yeah. So there are two things. There's this part when the skill starts and when the skill is running. So those are part of the conversations. And that's when you click and then you say like, okay, I provide all the input. This kind of the experience that already lets the user that Joule is working on it, right? It's like, okay, I'm executing in this particular case, I'm getting the discounts you requested, or I'm creating the Jira item that you did, or the HR ticket for a specific issue. Depending on the capability that you do, you can define this user experience as a developer of what you want to be showing. And then additionally, what you have is part of the outputs configuration. That's part here on the, exactly. Here we have the definition of the outputs that we want to give also to the user. We as a developer need to understand the business scenario and understand what is the need of the business user and the information that I need to provide it. And that's where it comes, this understanding into the technical perspective, and then bring it as a solution for the end user in order to bring the support. In this particular scenario, the developer persona selected and say, this is the information that is relevant for this scenario, and that's what I'm going to show. There may be other scenarios when I say I only need to provide them the link to the system that we have created for them. In other scenarios, it might be like, oh, I'm going to provide you like a list of elements or more additional information. So that's how you define this conversational experience for the user, by being able to go into the configurations of this Joule trigger and be able to define conversation, inputs, and outputs.
Okay. I feel like we're having a dialogue with VN Ready because that is definitely a very active contributor to a lot of Devtoberfest. So we really appreciate this. And VN had a couple more comments, which basically we deploy them into the environments in BPA, right? Question mark.
Yes. Do you want to elaborate on that, Florent, or should I?
Yes, exactly. We deploy an environment. But Joule doesn't know the notion of environment, so we have a kind of a visibility condition to ensure that each user has only the authorization, the right to see capabilities, and can only have the capability based on the role.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks. So as you mentioned, we are leveraging what you're familiar with the environments, as Florent just said, and then that will be kind of the experience that will allow you to have this control.
Okay, one more follow-up from VN. Can we access this skill in SAP Mobile Start too, or only in what you just showed?
That is something that we will be bringing this as there comes also the release. I think that's part of the roadmap to have Joule in mobile. Once you release your capabilities, they should be available either by consumption on mobile or also consumption in the web. So this is part of the vision that we have, but we are working on all the integration to try to bring it.
Okay, and I'm going to ask a question I didn't prep with you, so if you want me to end the call, just end it now. But now, where's all this going to be documented? Are you guys releasing tutorials? Is it only going to be on help.sap? Where is this going to be a process that people can go? Well, because I love them watching our videos and Devtoberfest sessions, but as this changes so quickly and you have to redocument, where's all that going to be published?
Yeah, so I think this will become part of the SAP Build community. That is the place where we try to bring learning journeys, even like special training, certifications. So everything that we bring as new functionality within the Build solutions that you're familiar, process automation, Build apps, Warzone, Build code. Also, we will be positioned in Joule Studio, and they will bring the right documentation of how you're able to implement these guidance, tutorials, and every single material that we will be preparing as a result of this new solution that is coming to the SAP Build family.
Awesome. I will put a link right now into the pages.community.sap.com in the Build Apps group. And
Thanks a lot.
more learning community stuff you want to throw into the chat, by all means, feel free to. You can even come back after this video is done and log into YouTube, and you can, contribute and ask a question. You can post an answer if you want to, or send it to us and we'll post it. We will follow up on any new questions that come in when people rewatch this video. With that being said, I don't see any more questions in chat right now. We are still live, so if anybody has one, throw it in quickly. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to you guys to start to wrap up.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we're very happy to show this. I think we're very excited of all this collaboration. I especially want to, again, thank to LeverX, because we have been learning a lot through the collaboration with them. So it's really great to go with customers and have these relationships where we can transparently show them what we're working on as a concept, and then we can get their feedback and also try to understand their use cases. And that really informs us to bring it into the planning of the product, try to improve the user experience, and try to really be able to leverage the functionality that they require in order to help their customers. At the end of the day, they are working with customers in order to try to bring these right solutions. So I think that's a very collaborative, and this is only the start. We're, like I say, we're going to be working on trying to bring the beta, having even more learning, more collaboration, more close examples and real use cases, not something that we are just making up just for the sake of presenting the functionality, but really trying to understand where we can try to bring value to the customers. And then we will be bringing that as part of the release. So I think it's
So
an
Mark asked
exciting
a
journey.
question in chat. Maybe you want to bring up the timeline again of the beta
Yes,
versus
I can
going
go through
live.
that.
Mark asked, when, do these skills become generally available? And I will also ask you, how do people get into the beta program?
Yeah, so they can contact us. I think as part of the last slide, I will put her in a second again with my email. We will have a list of selected customers and partners to be able to do in Rebeta, to really be able to go into conversations with them. But they can contact me, they are interested, and then we're gonna go into the selection criteria and try to see like how we can try to accommodate as many customers and partners as possible. Let me go into my details here, information regarding our contact. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested into participating, and when we will consider and put you in the registration list that we have of candidates.
And you said generally available in Q1, and I've been at SAP since 2007. So I know that means January 1st, not March 31st, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and consider that we will run the beta. We also want to be able to bring these quality improvements, right? From the beta, in the collaboration with the customers, you learn a lot. So I think we will probably try to delay it by the end of Q1, Q2, at the beginning of Q2, in order to be able to really bring these improvements and try to bring the really great and seamless user experience so the customers can really take value out of it.
Okay, perfect. Anything else from you guys? Otherwise, we can wrap up the session.
No, not from my side. I don't know. Laurent, do you want to add anything from your side?
No, it's okay. Great presentation.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys
that will be
see.
all from
Okay.
us.
Thank you so much, Miguel. It was a great session. And as you guys can see, there's Miguel's contact information along with his colleague Frederick, and Florence available as well for help. So any questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. We can't thank you enough for joining this DevToberfest session. And like I said, sadness, I'm crying. This is the last one at the end of Tooling Tuesday for 2024. I have to go work on making my beard more blue. So that is it for us. I hope you enjoyed this session, and we will see you next time. Bye.